What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much. Hello, you fools. Welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. This is episode 3 of our 34 episode series. Is it feeling less daunting now we're 3 episodes in?
Well, we're 3 episodes in. As we're recording, it's still the same morning as episode 1.
True.
We have a coffee in hand now, so things are getting better.
Exactly. Exactly.
We need a better name for this series. Every intro is so clunky. This is episode 3 of our 34 series of episodes. What the fuck are we doing?
Listen, we'll chat GPT. I mean, we'll figure it out together and we'll work it out for episode 4.
By episode 4, it's going to be a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, you guys are we're going to have fireworks and everything by episode fucking 34.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll look like the last race of the F1 year.
Nice. Just imagine Williams in 2021. That's where we're at now. No, we're about Williams 2022 now.
Okay.
End of this 34 episode series will be Williams in 2026 world champions.
I like it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Well done, Dave.
Sorry if I've just spoiled the 2026 season for you, but that's how it's ended.
But yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we don't have a clean title for it, but we're doing 34 episodes in 34 days to kick off the 2026 season. Should be leading straight into the first practice session in Melbourne.
Yep.
We're covering the 11 teams in these first 11 days. We've already done McLaren and Mercedes. Today we are having a look at Red Bull. Then we're going to get stuck into liveries and drivers and things of that nature. Should be a lot of fun, so make sure you follow along.
Bang. I like it. I'm David, and with me is Skin. David's the Brit, Skin's the Aussie.
Oh, yeah.
David's the expert, Skin's the fool.
Oh, yeah.
Dave's the handsome one, Skin's the even more handsome one.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, you see what I did there?
Wow.
I got you.
That's a schnickle.
Yeah,
well
got you there. Yeah, I see.
Well done.
Thank you, Skin.
Off to a flying start. Look at this guy.
Yeah. The amount of comments we get still on videos is just like, is that the guy from We Got the Chocolates? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, you can see his face?
Yeah.
Same person.
Yeah, same person.
Anyway, so Skin has mentioned we are talking about Red Bull, one of the most controversial teams in modern history. One of the most loud teams in in F1 sport ever, I would say. And certainly a team that in their 21 years of history now, well, the first 20 years of history, they weren't scared of saying what they meant and doing shit that is controversial.
Right.
Thinking of just like Christian Horner's management style.
Okay.
Being very like out there and bold and brash.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I assume we'll get into it, but what do you mean? I missed probably 19 of Christian Horner's 20 years of leadership. So.
True.
I just saw the one controversy at the end. It was like, seems like a good bloke.
We'll cover things like Multi-21. Any long-term F1 fans will know that one. But, also just the memes of like the drivers up in heaven versus the driver that's in the car right now and like join us because Red Bull killed their careers kind of thing. Like they're not scared of replacing drivers mid-season or Helmut Marko, certainly. Okay. Thank God he's gone. He certainly wasn't scared of telling drivers that they suck, even when they're actually performing quite well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is Helmut Marko, he's not the guy that is now doing something else at another team?
No. Helmut, I don't think we'll ever see or hear from Helmut ever again.
Okay. All right.
Because just like his name describes, he's a massive helmet. Okay. Which means the end of a penis, if anyone was wondering.
Thanks, Dave.
Anyway, so Red Bull are an Austrian-owned team based in Milton Keynes, United Kingdom. Again, very similar region to the other teams, like probably within. Why?
If they're an Austrian-owned team, they didn't start around the time of the war. Why did they move to the same area as everyone else?
Because they didn't move there. They bought their team. So Red Bull bought the team Jaguar in 2005 and took over their team. So just like Mercedes who bought Brawn, it's not like McLaren had an old factory back in the day when it was Bruce and everyone, and then built a purpose-built factory. That doesn't happen that often. If you see Williams' factory, which they post a lot about, especially in the past few weeks they have over Christmas and stuff, it's not that impressive. It doesn't look that impressive. It's just a load of like red brick factory buildings. It's not that impressive a facility in comparison to McLaren's. Mercedes is big and it's great, but it's not like, a fucking spaceship looking factory. Red Bull's is very good, but Milton Keynes was a purpose-built city. It's one of the most modern cities in England. It was built on a concept of like having kind of a grid concept. It ended up failing, and it's a bit of a shithole of a city. But the outskirts, it's not in the city, it's outskirts of Milton Keynes, kind of, in that region. But yeah, the point is that they bought a team that already existed there.
Okay. Understood.
So they just kind of moved in and then upgraded their factories. The Red Bull factory and facilities are very impressive. Looks very cool. Like you kind of look at it from the outside, and I'm sure they've still got it. I'm not 100%, but I'm sure it's still like this. You've got like the front door, and then there's like a glass window, and in the glass window is just a car mounted to the wall, like a full F1 car mounted to the wall. And you can just see it from the outside. It looks so cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they still do have that, and also Red Bull's facilities is one of the most iconic. They've kind of got like the history room of all of their cars that they've ever had in like a big semicircle.
Yeah.
I would say one of the most iconic like tours of an F1 factory you could probably go on. Like that's bucket list for me to go to the Red Bull factory.
You can tour F1 factories.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's a regular, like, I mean, if anyone knows how to get us into any of the F1 factories, then reach out. Me and Skin, listen, we've got an influence of a few thousand people, and we are more than willing to fly to England just to have a look at these factories. And when I say we, I mean, if you're also going to fly Skin's family and child there, we will all be there.
Oh, man, yeah.
You wouldn't leave Maeve for that long, would you?
Well, how long does it take? If you're fly out same day, I mean, well, not the same day.
I was going to say, it's 24-hour flight, Skin.
40-odd hours of flying, but like,
It'd be 2 days just to get there and back.
Fly in, look at the factory, fly out.
Oh. That jet
I
lag,
don't know.
That would hurt.
Yeah, it would hurt.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But like, my daughter can't come.
This is
That's
coming
the
from
next
someone.
best.
How far behind was the Maldives? Like 3 hours behind?
5.
Oh, but that was quite a long flight though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
She got all the fucking...
Yeah, we stopped in every different place. I was in charge of booking the flight, so it should be 17 hours of flying or whatever. It was 27.
That's crazy. 27, nice. Yeah, of course.
Good stuff.
Go Skin.
Anyways, another
1 minute,
question
Skin.
about...
I've got to, let me just finish my stats first here, Skin.
All right. Well, bloody get moving, would you?
They've won 6 Constructors World Championships, 2010 through to 2013 and 2022 and 2023. The most iconic or most famous driver to be associated with the team, hard to pick for this one. Personally, I would go with Max Verstappen. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. But Sebastian Vettel also won 4 World Championships, so I think another in 5 years, if Max wins a 5th, then he will have overtaken Seb on paper. But I think Max takes the W here. Seb had quite an iconic time in Ferrari, and I just think for me, Max Verstappen signifies Red Bull.
Okay. Nice.
Go Skin.
Go Disc. My question wasn't really so much about their drivers or their champions or championships. I was still stuck on the location thing.
Okay, go Skin. Sorry, I should have let you ask it then.
So their headquarters or whatever is in this pocket in England where all the teams are. They're an Austrian-owned team. There's a Red Bull ring on the calendar. Red Bull
They own the track, yeah.
They own the track. There's a Red Bull track on the calendar.
In Austria.
It's in Austria, right? It's not in England.
No.
Is there anything else there apart from, or is it just the track? Like they don't do any work there?
That whole like facility is there. Like Red Bull as a drinks company is based in Austria. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
But Red Bull, the F1 team, their factory is in England.
Okay. But at this rate, it's not like their headquarters are at this racetrack or something and they're building F1 cars there. They're building F1 cars in England.
In the UK.
They have a track in Austria.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's mainly because like the track used to be called the A1 ring, and there's a lot of old fans. My dad still refuses to call it the Red Bull ring. He's like, it's the A1 ring. That's what it is, before Red Bull bought it. So like that iconic arch that's on top of the hill, that has always been there. They just decided to put a massive fucking bull in the middle of it when they bought the track, which in my opinion looks fucking cool as shit. But yeah, they bought the track as purely, just like Red Bull, the drinks company, like to do, PR and marketing. It means that they have a track where they can do crazy stunts. They can throw wild as fuck parties during F1 weekends or MotoGP or whatever else. They've got a lot of other ventures in motorsport now. And yeah, they can just do whatever they want with it. So that's kind of the reason for buying it, is it's a massive fucking tax write-off, and they can make a lot of content and a lot of parties and events with it.
Okay, beautiful.
Everyone that I know that has been to the Red Bull Ring for an F1 race has said it's one of the best F1 weekends on the calendar, like party-wise and the vibe and everything. Like everyone's just there for a good time.
Really?
Most of them Max Verstappen fans.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Well, that seems like a nice time to talk about how they got into F1 because obviously it's a drinks company, right? And you talk about they do these crazy marketing things and they do crazy marketing things, but starting an F1 team seems like probably the craziest marketing thing. If you're trying to sell drinks, that seems like an expensive way to go in, you know, to start selling drinks is starting an F1 team. Why the fuck and how, what was the start of this F1 team like? Why did they do that? So the drinks company was founded in 1987. So they'd been around for a while trying to sell this drink that tastes like Red Bull.
Yeah. Some could argue shit.
No, we don't say that.
Listen, it's the only energy drink I buy because I froth it so much.
Oh, really?
But I froth it because it's like Monster. I just don't feel like it gives me energy. Red Bull is the only one that actually I feel, to be fair, that new Solo Energy. Have you tried that one?
I haven't.
Holy fuck, that's good.
Really?
Tastes the blood orange, the orange one or whatever it is. Delish.
Right.
And at the moment, only $2.50 at Woolies.
Dave, no one's paying us.
If any of them companies want to jump on board, the origin story of Red Bull as a drink manufacturer is really funny. Like Dietrich Shits, I don't know how to say his name. Sheets, I don't fucking know. Okay. Dietrich went to Japan and saw this energy drink, and everyone was drinking it just to like get crazy amounts of energy. Apparently, the Japanese Red Bull is fucking wild. So he then took that to Europe and started marketing it in and got the permission and rights and everything, and started marketing it as a way to get energy. And like energy drinks were then kind of born into the European market and the Western civilization market, whatever. The really funny thing is about it is that he struggled to sell it because it tasted so bad.
Okay.
So what he did, which kind of makes sense to the F1 team, is he started marketing it as towards extreme sports. To do an extreme sport, you need to have high energy. You need to like be at the top of your performance. You need to be able to perform at the best. So the way that they would market it is like, you know, people that jump out of planes, they take a Red Bull before they jump out of planes because it gives you gives you wings, or it gives you the guts to go and do it, kind of thing. So that was how they started marketing it, and it started working. And then the energy drink market blew up around, you know, motocross, skydiving, skateboarding, like snowboarding, all these extreme sports where you can like literally fucking hurt yourself or die. He started marketing it to these people because these people live on the edge. They live very like vicariously through their the sport or the adventure thrill that they're looking to get.
Okay.
So that's how they started marketing it. And that's kind of why F1 made a lot of sense for them. Coming out of the 2000s, it was the beginning of Formula One starting to make money. Teams weren't losing money hand over fist in the early 2000s. They were still losing money, but they weren't losing as much money. The thing that Red Bull saw as a great input was, we will have access to millions of people globally, especially across Europe. We will have access to all of these people, and we'll be able to market towards all of these very fucking easily. And it's only going to cost us this much million. Whereas all of the other sports, you know, skateboarding, snowboarding, skydiving, they're very niche sports. They've got a very niche audience that they cater towards. And I think when you look now, like, I don't know if Ben Stokes is still a Red Bull athlete, but I remember when Ben Stokes first went and played for England, he was a Red Bull athlete, and he was on posters in England that were Red Bull posters. Like, you would probably never have gotten that. And cricket's still quite a niche sport, but it's a bit more broad. You probably would never have gotten that had they not done the F1 team, because they would never have gotten a global platform that F1 provided them. They would have still been on the smaller markets kind of thing.
Right, okay.
Which is, I think it's hard for people to think of that F1 gave them that elevation, but they joined F1 in 2005. Like, it put them on the map as the energy drink.
Right, okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So them joining in F1 was essentially a marketing ploy for the drinks company.
Yeah, for sure.
And how did those first few years go? Was that obvious, or were they?
Yeah, how? Like, as in that? Was it obvious that they were using it for marketing?
Well, yeah. Was it obvious that they were using it for marketing? Was it obvious in terms of, did their actual racing suffer because they were focused on marketing, or like they'd bought an actual racing team? Did they still have a competitive team there? Or?
No, Jaguar weren't really a competitive team. This was 2005. There was quite a large field spread. You know, you had the Williams, the Ferraris, the McLarens were kind of your top teams in the late 90s, early 2000s. Williams kind of started to fade away around this time, but Jaguar was certainly, they certainly weren't up there in terms of, they were never going to win a championship. So they knew that buying this team, if they wanted to win championships, which would have been Christian Horner and Adrian Newey's goal, there was going to need to be heavy investment. And like what we see with Williams today and with Aston Martin today, heavy investment takes in F1, it takes years for it to actually come to fruition. So them buying it in 2005 was they would have had a plan of X amount of years we might be competitive, and that's what we're going to aim towards. They certainly made their mark marketing wise in the early days. They joined the paddock and they brought the big motorhome things they have behind the pits.
Mm.
So they brought a big version of this, and not all the other teams had big motorhomes, and they would put a pool on top, and they would have DJs playing music, and they would have their extreme athletes riding around on bikes and skateboards and whatever, and they would throw the wildest parties. Several teams up and down the grid said, this isn't traditional motorsport. This isn't, F1 back in the 70s and 80s, you would serve oysters, caviar and champagne. So for this company to come in and all of a sudden just be loud and brash, and it's energy drinks and it's fucking in your face, and there's fireworks and there's smoke and there's, everything's exploding, and they would really set the grid alight and really brought an energy that was totally out the blue. And I can't remember when it was. It might have been 2009. There's a really famous clip of Martin Brundle, David Coulthard, I think Jake Humphrey and Eddie Jordan all sat doing a panel TV show, and they said to each of them, who's going to be world champion in 2010 or something like that.
Mm.
And it's Lewis Hamilton, Jensen Button, like that, it's like the drivers you would expect. And then David Coulthard, who drove for Red Bull in the early years in 2005, 6, 7, something like that. He says Sebastian Vettel, he's a brand ambassador for Red Bull. So everyone was like, oh, you've been paid out, like you've gone for the money, like da. And so everyone on the sofa starts laughing at him, like, oh yeah, Red Bull are going to be competitive. And then he won the championship.
Crikey. So
it's a very famous clip because that shows that no one in the paddock took them seriously.
Yeah.
Everyone saw it as, these guys are just here to sell drinks and have parties and have fun. They're not a serious competitor. And then they fucking dominated for 4 years.
Right. Okay. So they won their first championship in 2010.
Yep.
The constructors?
Both constructors and drivers.
Right.
Yep.
But 2009, we were just saying.
Was Brawn.
Brawn won.
Yeah.
The constructors.
And drivers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. So
Red Bull put up a fight. Red Bull almost got them towards the end.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was sort of my question is, so they started poorly in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Like, were they getting better gradually, or was it like a Mercedes event where there was some change in rules or regulations in 2010 and they suddenly started dominating?
No, yeah, it was a very gradual, like they put the pieces together. Adrian Newey was focusing on, there were rule changes. There were quite a lot of rule changes, but it was nothing as drastic as the 2014 rule change or, again, the ground effect rule change in 2021 and now the rule change that we're having in 2026. It wasn't as major as that, but there was gradual small rule changes. And every time there was a rule change from 2005 through to 2010, Red Bull just got better. The thing we noticed in 2009, I think 2009 was the first time we really saw it. And 2008 was the first full season I properly watched. So like I watched it a bit as a kid, but I was too young to really follow it.
Sure.
2008, I really remember it. So 2009, I started getting invested in the development of cars and the engineering side of things. And so in 2009, we really saw Red Bull were nowhere at the beginning of the season. So was McLaren and Ferrari. They were kind of nowhere compared to Brawn because of the double diffuser that Brawn had brought out. It's a piece of engineering where air can go through, they would have tunnels channeling through the car to direct air to hit the rear of the car at a very specific angle. So it would pull the back of the car down and give you more grip on the exit of a corner. Brawn, Toyota, and I think another car had it in 2009, and Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, none of them had it. So to see them go with the times and develop their car in 2009 to be competitive and introduce a double diffuser to compete and beat the Brawn in a lot of races in the end of the season, that showed what Red Bull was. They were a team that weren't afraid of, if they know they've got a shit car in race 1, you can guarantee by race 10, 15, that's going to be a very different car. They're not afraid to know when they're doing bad and change shit. I think we saw it a bit last year as well. They didn't start off that well, but they ended very strong.
Yeah, okay.
So in 2009, they certainly came through, and in 2010, they got the championship. They got the chocolates, you could say. So yeah, they're certainly not a traditional manufacturing team. They didn't come from a car manufacturer at all. They never made anything car parts related. They never had an engineering department or anything like that until they joined Formula One, which makes them very, very unique. I think Red Bull as a brand is quite unique anyway. You know, if you go on Red Bull's official Instagram, nowhere will you see a photo of a can. You won't see that on a drinks manufacturing Instagram. You won't see any photos of the can of Red Bull. You'll just see Extreme
It's
Sports.
amazing, isn't it?
It's fucking wild.
Some of the content they create is unbelievable. Like, and how it links back to can sales, I have no idea. But like,
It's crazy.
Like, did you see that thing recently where old mate was dropping in on a skateboard off the side of a building? It was like the world's highest skateboard ramp or whatever record they were breaking. It's like, what the fuck?
If he falls, he's dead.
Yeah. Seriously.
It's fucking wild. Even some of like the stuff with the planes where they're flying them through tunnels or inverted within a meter of an F1 car, both traveling at the same speed. Like, and
they just do everything. They do it so quick. Like I'll be watching that skateboarding thing. That'll be all over my feed one week, and then the next week they've got, I don't know, the old mate's jumping a bike over a moving train or something. It's like, how do you have these two projects on the go at the same time? Like,
have you seen the basketball one where the guy's just like fucking throwing the basketball through like hoops with spikes on, and then he does it like the ball's on fire and shit?
No.
It's just wild. Like there is just so much content from them. It's hard to keep up with everything that they do, but it is insane that all of this money translates.
Yeah.
Like it all comes from can sales. I mean, the F1 team is now profitable and they'll make a profit from that as well. But, but it's fucking wild. So yeah, the evolution of the team for this series, I'm going to be breaking this down into 3 eras for each team. So I've got the entry and rapid rise, 2005 to 2009. We just spoke about this. The main thing during this era was 2006 when Christian Horner and Dietrich Mateschitz had convinced Adrian Newey to join, which was the biggest technical turning point for them. And kind of the first sign that they were actually looking to be competitive was bringing Adrian Newey on. You know, he'd previously engineered for the likes of Williams and McLaren and things like that. So he had a track record of winning championships and designing the best cars. And also in the IndyCar space as well. He designed some of the fastest and best IndyCar designs we've ever seen in the 80s and 90s. So yeah, he was a very formidable name to be joining the team. Yeah, they obviously got their first F1 win in 2009 with Sebastian Vettel. That it wasn't, kind of proving that, again, everything's going in the right direction. They were lining up for a very good 2010. The first dynasty is their Era 2, which is 2010 through to 2013. 4 championships, both drivers and constructors, with Seb and Webber as their drivers. We'll get onto the Multi-21 in a little bit. We'll talk about that in touch more detail, but there was controversy, but there was also a lot of very, very insane moments, like hearing the emotion of Seb winning his first world championship, crossing that line and like just sobbing, and everyone in the team just is like so emotional. They've been on this journey for the last, 5-6 years, and to win that first world championship was just, I've never seen passion like it. It's like when Williams win this year, the passion is just going to be through the roof. Like it is, that's what racing's all about. And I just, every time I see that clip of Seb crossing the line, I get chills. It's the same, to be fair, it's the same with Lewis. When you hear his emotion crossing the line for his 7th title, it's just like, wow, that's what this is all about.
Right, okay.
And I don't like Lewis.
Okay.
But it's still just like, it's impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry. And then Era 3 was their kind of hybrid dip, moving into the Verstappen era and kind of like flowing through these past few years. So this is kind of 2015 14 through till now. So it's quite a wide range, I know. So 2014 with the new regs, Renault just did not get the engine right. They had a number of years where that Renault engine just sucked. It would blow up. It would be inconsistent. It wouldn't be fast. And they just couldn't compete. They were nowhere near Mercedes. They saw the likes of, obviously Webber retired, Seb left. They went through the era that has still gone on through today of just never having a stable driver pairing in the team. The most stable driver pairing they've had since 2014 was Sergio and Max. And that's saying a lot because that only lasted for 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, okay. How long was it Max and Ricciardo?
Max and Ricciardo was only a season or two.
Okay.
Yeah. But they weren't fast. They would trip over each other. They would crash into each other. They weren't title contenders.
Sure.
Mercedes still had them covered. And Ferrari had them covered a lot of the time as well.
Okay.
So yeah. But I think that's a misconception is that Ricciardo was actually at Red Bull for a lot longer than what he was. He was only there for like 2 seasons.
Right.
Maybe 3. But it wasn't that long and they never even came close to competing for a championship. So
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously that saw their decline. Obviously in 2021, they built a very good car with the Honda engine finally becoming good. They built a very good car in partnership with Honda and put on a fight against Mercedes and really, really showed what Red Bull is. And Red Bull is ruthless aggression. The team, the driver, it all is perfect harmony. Like they're not afraid of getting their elbows out, bashing some people around and fucking winning a race the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect it. I like that way of driving. It would be my way of driving. Like when I used to race sim, I always came from I always did endurance racing, tin top stuff, like supercars kind of vibe. And, in that stuff like rubbing is racing, like you lean on your competitor into a corner. You don't mind pushing them out wide a little bit. So I quite like a bit of aggression in driving.
Okay.
It's fun.
Okay. That was 2021.
That was 21.
They ended up winning?
The drivers, not the constructors.
Yeah.
It was Mercedes' last constructors, yeah. And then 22.
So who would have been the second driver that year when?
That was Checo.
Okay.
Yeah. That was more the reason it was close between the teams, but that was more just the Mercedes was the better overall package. So between Lewis and Valtteri, they would podium more than Max and Checo. But Max is Max. And we've all seen what he's like, how much of a weapon he is. He pushed that car beyond what Checo ever could.
Sure. Because
Max is just fucking next level.
Sure.
Checo's a phenomenal number 2. He's a great driver, but he doesn't have that aggression that Max has.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of brings us to there. And it's that brings us up to now, which is kind of they took a dip in 24, 25, have not won a championship for either the driver or the constructor for the constructor for 2 years, but for the driver, they didn't win it last year. And so 2026 is kind of a big question mark for this team. They've got new management. Adrian Newey's gone. Christian Horner's gone. Helmut Marko's gone. They've got a junior driver in the team. They've obviously got a very established driver, but it's going to be a very interesting 2026 for that team.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder what their approach is going to be like with the new car and the new regulations, because obviously their approach so far has just been make the best car for Max and who gives a fuck what happens in the other one sort of thing. But like if they're going to keep going with that mentality, or if this new car with the new regulations is going to be something a little bit more manageable for a second driver, and I'm sure Max will still be able to push it to the limits anyway sort of thing. So
yeah. I think it's interesting because they've gone with Lauren Mekies, who is a great engineer. Like he engineered for Ferrari for many years. He's a very, very smart technical person. So it's interesting that they went, Christian Horner got sacked and they immediately went, Christian Horner's a business guy. He's not a technical guy. He's not an aerodynamicist or an engineer or anything. So they went from a businessman to an engineer. So I think for me, this shows that Red Bull's management, like their board of directors, the management above the F1 team, want the F1 team to go in the direction they want it to change. They don't want it to be the same as the previous 20 years. So I think this year for them is going to be the most interesting thing for Red Bull is going to be how they adapt and which direction they change to. Because Max is aggressive. When you hear JP is engineer on the radio, he's aggressive. And the strategist as well. They're aggressive in how they go racing. So under Lauren Mekies' new management, is that going to continue, or is it going to be softened, or is it going to change completely? Like, it's going to be a very big year for the team.
Okay. Exciting. I still feel like I need to understand a few things about the past stuff, if that's all right. So
Absolutely.
So I would say, is it fair to say that Red Bull, that you've sort of broken down these three eras? Is it fair to say they've had sort of two periods of peak dominance, right? So first in I think it was 2010, 11, 12, 13, they won a bunch of drivers and constructors championships, and then Max has won 21, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
And they won three of those, two of those constructors championships. So looking at those two periods, there's a pretty standout difference to me, at least. I don't know if I've got this wrong or if this is foolish, but it seems like a pretty standout difference to me. They won all the constructors championships
in the
first four, and not all four of them in the second.
Yeah.
And you go back and look at those results and that history, and you've got Seb Vettel winning the drivers' championship every year.
Yep.
You look at the driver standings that year, and number 3 is Mark Webber.
Yep.
Every year.
He's always there.
He's always there.
He was the Red Bull number 2.
So they obviously had, we have this debate going on about, do you want a 1 and a 2 driver, or do you want 2 good drivers? He's obviously a good second driver.
Very good second driver.
He's coming third in the drivers' championships every year.
Well, this was the thing with Mark Webber. When they signed him, a lot of people were like, this guy's too old. If Red Bull want to be taken seriously, they need a better number 2.
Right.
But he came out, he wasn't part of the program. Like Seb was, a junior driver that made his way through the ranks. Red Bull established their junior program very early on when they joined the sport. And so for Mark Webber, it was a punt. They could have put another, like they had, I think at the time they had Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel Ricciardo as juniors that were waiting in the wings, and they had other drivers that could have come along and done it. But Webber was not part of the Red Bull family and got brought into the Red Bull family and was a bit of a thorn in Christian and Seb's side because he was still fucking good. He was very good.
Right, okay. But so if they've had this period of success in 2010 to 2013 where they won 4 constructors championships with 2 good drivers, why would they flip that script and bet the house, or like just throw all their eggs in one basket on Max and forget about their second driver and watch 2 of the 4 constructors championships slip?
But it's such a good question, and it's really hard to answer with complete certainty. I think the only people that know are Christian, Dietrich's, Adrian, like the head management over on that side. But I think for Red Bull, immediately after Seb left the team and Webber had left the team, they went through a few drivers, Danny Kvyat, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly. I know they were during the Max era, but they went through quite a few drivers over a 5-year period. And I think the thing that they could see in the junior career of Max Verstappen was, and we'll talk about this when we get to his episode, was this guy's fucking quick. And this guy is potentially one of the fastest people to ever drive a car. Like, he was 15, 16 years old, and he was fast enough to be on the F1 grid. Like, he signed his first contract when he was 16. He turned 17 when he first drove an F1 car. Like, he was a force to be reckoned with from probably the moment he was born. Max's dad is obviously Jos Verstappen, was an F1 driver, and had some controversial ways of raising Max to make Max into the driver he is. But they saw this very early on in Max's career. And I think when you've got a 4-time world champion leave you, your car is fucking nowhere to be seen because Mercedes are dominating everything and Renault's engine is shit. You've got to look, instead of looking at next year or the year after, you've got to look 5 years' time. You've got to look into the future. And so for them, it was like, we've got this kid here who we really need to nurture and give him the best experience, because in the future, he's going to bring us dominance. He's going to win for us. He's going to be a champion. So what they did in 2016 or 15, whenever it was, when they brought him in, they knew they weren't going to win shit for at least 3 or 4 years. They knew that it was like, we need to nurture this kid. We need to get all the behind the scenes stuff, the engine, the aerodynamics, everything else sorted before we're going to be dominant again. And in 2020, we started to see them rise up the ranks again. And it was like, oh, okay, things are starting to pay off. And in 2021, when Max won the championship for the first time, it was like, right, this is the work that they've been doing since Seb left in 2015-16. So like, for them, it wasn't a difficult decision to make, because you can sit in P2, 3, 4 as an F1 team in the championship and go and comfortably, nowadays especially, make money and still all break even. So like, as long as your board of directors aren't going to be too disappointed with that, they're still making money, their pockets still getting filled. So why not look to the future? Because if you can just break even for 4 or 5 years, then in the future you're going to make fucking millions, potentially billions, because you're going to win championships back to back, and then more sponsorship and whatever else comes with it. You'd rather do that. Trust me, as a Williams fan, I love when James Vowles is saying, forget 22, forget 23, forget 24, forget 25. It's all about 26. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, let's do it. Because I'd rather win in 26, 27, 28 than come second, third, or fourth in any previous years.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But I think you've got a very good point. And I think this is something that Red Bull are going to struggle with into 26 is the Seb Weber days were certainly more grounded, and they were certainly more dominant in them days, having a stable 2 drivers that were very good drivers. And they've not had that since then. So I think in 26 with Isaac Hadjar going into the car, they really need to focus on making him comfortable in that team and in that car, and making a car that works for both of them.
Yeah, okay.
That has to be priority number 1.
Okay. This second period of dominance that they've had from 2021, 2, 3, 4, you always talk to me about it and call it the ground effect era.
Yes.
And it sounds like my understanding of this is Adrian Newey has come in.
Yeah. Well, he was always there.
He was there, but he's this aerodynamics genius that's done this amazing job of designing this car that just has way more downforce than anyone else. And in 2021, the cars just started suctioning down to the ground or something. That it was like the birth of this ground effect era.
Yeah.
Help me understand that. Surely downforce has always been a pretty important part of racing.
Yeah.
How did this? What changed in 2021 that helped them that made them so good? What were they so good at in 2021 that wasn't already fundamentally obvious? Like, you want downforce as you're trying to turn around a corner.
So there's a lot of different types of downforce. If you were to look at the cars we had in 2014 going into the turbo hybrid era versus 2022 when we went into the ground effect era, in 2014, all of your downforce was created on top of the car. So that means your front wing the air would hit the top of the front wing and it would push the front of the car. It would hit the top of your rear wing, it would push the rear of the car. You would have little winglets all along the car to direct air towards the rear or towards panels to push the car down. In 2022, ground effect meant we had simple front wings, simple rear wings that couldn't do as much pushing. And what they did was they introduced ground effects from the floor. So it meant the floor would create a invisible air tunnel that, just like when a train goes through a physical tunnel, there is air pressure differences and it actually slows a train down. That's why bullet trains were invented. So this air underneath the car with all of the fins and everything else that run on the floor of these new cars would actually create a suction. So it would pull the car down instead of pushing the car down from above.
Right.
So you've got a different type of aerodynamic force being created. The reason that Red Bull got this so well, in my opinion, if you read Adrian Newey's book, he talks about when he was at university and he was studying aerodynamics. This was back in the day when people didn't really understand aerodynamics and it was very new. He would go into his university wind tunnels and things like that, his engineering department, and he would practice ground effect aerodynamics, because IndyCar at the time had, you were allowed to use ground effect aerodynamics in IndyCar. So he was hired by teams to do ground effect aerodynamics on IndyCar cars. So the moment this era was introduced to Formula One, everyone went, Adrian Newey's going to get it right. He's going to be the guy. He's been doing this for 40 odd years, this exact thing. Whereas you look at other aerodynamicists on the grid that haven't been around as long as Adrian Newey, that went straight from university into Formula One, have never done ground effect aerodynamics, or if they have done it, they've only done it to a very small, portion of their career. Whereas Adrian Newey dedicated a very large portion of his career to it. So that's why. And also, this guy can see air. He's a fucking genius and has just made some of the most iconic aerodynamics ever. He literally wrote the book, How to Build an F1 Car. Okay. Like, that's literally the title of his book. So, the guy knows a thing or two about building cars.
Okay.
But yeah, that era with Seb and Weber, I just wanted to pick out this as one of our key moments. In 2013, again, any old F1 fans, you'll know this. If you do not know this, please go and watch the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix Webber was getting quite frustrated by being the number 2. Back then, you couldn't choose your numbers like you can now. Oscar Piastri is 81. If you won the championship the year before, you were forced to carry the number 1 on your car instead of being able to choose. Right. And then your teammate would automatically have the number 2 on their car. Yep. So there was a literal divide. Seb was number 1, Webber was number 2. That was their car numbers.
Sure.
In Malaysia, Webber was winning the race. And we hear a team radio from Sebastian Vettel where the engineer comes on and says, Seb, multi-21. Now, we hear fucking coded messages like this all the time, and usually it's a setting on the steering wheel. So we all just thought, has Seb got an engine problem and he's got to change something to fix a problem or something? And then all of a sudden, Seb starts attacking Webber for the lead. And he starts overtaking him, and Webber comes on the radio and is like, pissed. Post-race, Seb gets out of the car, he's celebrating like fuck. They're up in the like cool down room, having a drink of water, getting refreshed before the podium. And Webber sits there and he just goes, Seb, multi-21. And Seb just like looks blankly and he goes, yeah, multi-21, Seb. And that was it. Everyone, the world fucking erupted. And it was like, what is multi-21? What does this mean? And it literally means car number 2 finishes above car number 1. Hold position. Don't overtake him. Seb disobeyed team orders and overtook him. He wanted to prove a point. He wanted to big dick Webber and show I'm number 1 in this team. It was a very controversial move from Seb. There was a lot of blowback. He still won the championship that year, but he didn't need to do this. And it was a bit of a dickhead move from Seb.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It's a very good race to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saucy.
Very saucy. So that for me is the top Red Bull moment out of their entire history, in my opinion. It's fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
Big picture, we've already mentioned this a little bit, but Red Bull going into the 2026 season, they've really got a directional change with new management, another new junior driver for like the 3rd year in a row or some shit. So, keep an eye on Red Bull for how they're going to manage, how they're going to change the way that they manage drivers and the team and how they go racing as well. I think the decline of them in 24, 25 in terms of a constructor, like the car not being as quick as certainly the McLaren, but the Mercedes, potentially on some occasions the Ferrari. I think we need to keep an eye on them where they're going to be development-wise in the first 5-6 races to just see, are they going to be title contenders or not? And, they could come back later on in the season. We know they develop well, but first 5-6 races will really show us where Red Bull are at with this new management and this new era.
Okay.
And also the management of Isaac. I think he's a phenomenal driver and I think he needs to be nurtured a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, that is Red Bull.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, thank you for listening to this podcast. As we've said at the very top, we're doing this 34 and 34 series. We'll come up with a better name for it. But this was episode 3. If you haven't listened to the Mercedes or McLaren episode, please go back and listen. They are very good episodes. You'll get a good insight into the team's history, into the team's current standings, and then hopefully into the team's future. If you want to follow us along on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, anything like that, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, just search up Formula Fools. You will find us very easily. And yeah, drop us a message if you're enjoying the series and follow along for the journey.
Beautiful. Well said, Dave. I have no additional homework. Nice.
Thank you for joining us at Formula Fools, where every turn is a chance for a good laugh. We'll see you next time.
As in tomorrow.